extremely happy to welcome you in the station of Namur, which is currently being renovated. Perhaps you haven't seen because you are in the train. Thanks to the European Regional Development Fund, this station does stand at the crossroads of the structuring axis of Wallonia, Tournai, Liège, and Brussels, Luxembourg. That's why it's the capital, it's the center of the Walloon region, nearly the center. The Walloon region has been, I have to say, recently severely hit and affected by an unprecedented storm in July that has unfortunately caused many casualties, losses and damages. This storm is the undisputable proof of the climate imbalance. And it further does show up that we vigorously need to fight against climate change, and I don't have to convince Europe in general. During the COP in Glasgow in November, in a few weeks, where I will have the privilege to lead the Belgian delegation as a Minister of Climate, the EU certainly needs to reconfirm its firm commitment to urgently tackle the root causes of the climate change. In this regard, the Green Deal, the European Commission strategy on sustainable and smart mobility, or the Fit for 55 package are certainly ambitious proposals that are translating into concrete actions the EU commitment to meet the Paris Agreement objectives and to reach the carbon neutrality by 2050. Now, the ball is clearly in the hands of the member states, which have to take decisions and to support that these objectives. Be reassured of the Walloon region support to ensure that the Belgian position be at the level of the EU's commitments at that COP. As a minister in charge of mobility and climate, I am convinced that sustainable, resilient, and smart mobility has a leading role to play to meet the targets. And I share the ambitious targets of the Commission, doubling of the high-speed railway traffic in the EU by 2030, and doubling of the freight transport by 2050. 2021 is the year of the rail. That's also why we are here today, I think. And yet, this 2 days event is another demonstration that railway is at the center of sustainable, resilient and smart transport policy. Railway already plays and will furthermore play a strategic role in the future towards the decarbonization of our economies and of our modes of transport. We have to witness in the short term a clear modal shift from fossil fuels-based transport modes to sustainable modes such as railway. Even though we are currently experiencing an unexpected economic recovery after COVID crisis, railway is not yet benefiting from enough financial support. I think we can say that. The Walloon region, although it has limited powers in that respect because it's more a federal responsibility, will continue to pay a special attention and to support a high quality of service and infrastructures in the railway sector. This is why the revision of the 10T regulation and the call for projects in the framework of the CEF2 2021-2027 are highly important. The latter will allow developing interconnected and multimodal networks, including the railway sector. The focus will be on the trans-European transport networks. I take advantage of Mr. Ballat's presence to stress the important work done by the coordinators of the European networks. The transborder mobility for freight and passengers is of vital importance to the Walloon region, as it is surrounded by countries like France, Germany, the Netherlands, or Luxembourg. Let me here stress the excellent cooperation we have with Luxembourg, and particularly with François Bauche. Such mobility will be beneficial of the economy and the climate. The Walloon region will therefore be a strong supporter of increased cooperation among member states. The EuroCap-rail project, aiming at ensuring the rail interconnection between the 3 European cities, seats of the EU institutions, is a perfect example of a transborder project which gives all sense to the European project. I assure you that this project remains a top priority for the Walloon government. Finally, regarding the night trains, I am obviously extremely favorable to their development. They deserve a proeminent role in the intra-European mobility. Nevertheless, to make these trains a success story, we need to carefully consider an increased taxation on the air traveling. I thank you for your attention. I won't be more long because you have the departure of the train, and which the railway and Connecting Europe Express all the best. Thank you for the initiative and your come in Namur.
Mr. Henry, and next speaker will be Mr. François Bauche, Deputy Prime Minister of Luxembourg and Minister for Mobility and Public Works. It seems as though Minister of Mobility is a good way of becoming Deputy Prime Minister, because it's the same thing in Belgium, Mr. Bauche.
Not only to become Deputy Prime Minister, but also to be re-elected, because I had been re-elected as a Transport Minister. It's not so easy. So thank you very much for inviting me. It was really a pleasure for me to come to Namur, because you know that Luxembourg, Namur, Brussels, it's really something that it's at the top of our agenda for long years ago. Like it had been said already by Philippe Henry, we will have the COP26 in November in Glasgow. And the focus at the COP26 will be put really on the transport sector. So it will be really in the focus. And you will see that the outcome also of the decisions that will be taken in Glasgow will be mainly focused on the transport sector. Because it's logical, the transport sector has the biggest work to do to really prevent us from climate change in the future. And in this, the railway sector must be the backbone of this change, the change of the mobility system in general. Because what we have to do in the future is not only focus on one mode of transport, but focus on multimodality, but the railway sector will be the backbone, or must be the backbone of this new multimodality sector. The second point is also that beside of climate change, if you look at the statistics of the United Nations, you can see that in about 30, 40 years, 85% of the worldwide population will live in urban areas. And when you know how we organize today our urban areas and the connectivities between the urban areas, and especially in Europe, where you have a very high density of populations on a small surface. So you can see that we must organize mobility in a complete different way if we will that it will be sustainable in the future. So, and there again, the railway sector has to play an important role. And it's, for me, then not only a question to link Europe with a high-speed railway network, but also not to forget regional railway systems. If you look at, for example, Namur and Luxembourg, the distance that you have, in fact, it's not a distance to introduce a high-speed network, but it's mainly regional transport, because the distance is not so far, and it makes no sense to discuss about, for example, introducing a TGV between Namur and Luxembourg, but you must have a high-quality regional network. So that means a train that is running by, let's say, 160 kilometers per hour, and that can transport people in a high-quality way. Because it's not only the speed, but that is also the quality of the connections that you're building up. And if we want to discuss to replace in Europe mainly short flights by the railway sector, and that if we want that the population uses more the train instead of short flights, for example, then the quality must be completely different. And I'm honest with you, for me it's a shame that between the three capitals in Europe, Strasbourg, Luxembourg and Brussels, you still not have a connectivity by train that really versus the name. The quality is really very bad. Luxembourg and Brussels, you take 3 hours. It's even slower than it was 25 years ago. Now we have in Luxembourg a connection to Paris, we take 2 hours. So for a distance that is 100 kilometers more, you take 1 hour less to travel. That's not normal. So it was a good idea by the Commission to organize this train and to sensibilize the politicians everywhere in Europe. But we must also see that Europe has a responsibility to really go with the good example forward and really now make that Strasbourg, Luxembourg and Brussels are connected in a high qualitative way by the trains. So don't let the colleagues in Brussels do the work alone, but because they alone, for them it's difficult to really shorten the time needed to build up and to modernize this lane. In the whole Green New Deal of the Commission, the railway sector must play a major role in the investments policy. And I think one part of these investments must go in connectivities, for example, like between Luxembourg and Brussels, and you will have other parts in Europe where it is the same situation that between Luxembourg and Brussels. So there is a responsibility in the European Union to really push forward also by taking money and really helping these countries that cannot alone in such a short period really realize all these investments. It's really a matter of acting now, because if we lose again 2 or 3 or 4 years, it's too late, then we will lose the battle. So thank you for organizing the train, and I hope that you could see everywhere in Europe where the problems are and what we have to do. I will not now bore you with figures what we are doing in Luxembourg, because that I will do this afternoon in Battenburg, where we are investing. So I will stop here by this appeal to everybody of you. Thank you very much.
Next speaker representing Mr. Georges Quinet is Mrs. Juliette Walkiers for the Deputy Prime Minister of Belgium and Minister for Mobility.
Thank you. I will try to be short because we have so many time and a lot of things have already said, and I support what my colleague have said before. I would like to say that this is a really nice initiative, this European Connecting Europe Express. It's a good symbol to show that train connect people, connect countries, connect population. Train is good for the environment, is good for our economy, is good for people. So I really agree with the sentence that train must be a backbone of future durable mobility system. About EuroCap-rail, it's true, it's a very strategic, important project for Belgium, for Luxembourg, for France. We need to have a very good connection between the three European headquarters city, I mean Brussels, Luxembourg, Strasbourg. But also there is a lot of workers, Belgian workers, who every day cross the border to work in Luxembourg. It's also Minister Bosch said it's also important the regional traffic. It's a part of one. This project is important for Europe, and it's important also for all people living in these countries. So we will ask for a European fund, and it is very important to accelerate the works in this route, Luxembourg-Brussels routes, to get a very attractive train relation, faster and robust. I will not be more longer about this project because Minister Henry and Minister Bo have already very good speak about it. I would like to speak about the night train. It's also a very important matter, and this route, it can be a very nice route for night trains too, this Brussels-Luxembourg route. No one in any doubt in this regard, the train is the most sustainable mode of transport in our disposal. Choosing the high-speed train for long-distance travel in Europe means choosing to reduce energy consumption by up to 3 times compared by a journey by air. Rail infrastructure exists throughout the continent. It is the backbone of our mobility to travel more sustainably and efficiently. We must move forward together and make the train the solution of the future. That is this. In other words, an efficient, accessibility, sustainable mode of transport. This is how we will successfully rejuvenate the railways. Several months ago, night trains made a reappearance in Belgium and more widely in Europe. This is excellent news, and we are all excited by this prospect. There is a huge interest in these services. It is a turning point that we must seize on together. The people of Europe have expectation. It is a turning point, and we have made a success. In Belgium, we are pleased to see these new initiatives emerging. The Austrian operator ÖBB has returned to Brussels. It is once again linked Belgium and Austria. What's a great news to be back after the grueling COVID periods. We have also heard about various private initiatives to link Brussels to 4 corners of Europe. That gives us a boost. Belgium has always been a crossroad of Europe, and the main of my minister is to make Brussels the European capital, a European model hub. Some initiatives also appear to be jeopardy. That is unfortunate news. This is the fate of the promising new link between Brussels and Malmö. A project as ambitious as it is necessary. And yet the start was not quite aligned enough to allow that the new link to see the light of the day. It is an opportunity to analyze what went wrong and to find effective and appropriate solutions. Let's us draw the relevant lesson from it. Let's act to make the rejuvenation of night train of Europe in Europe reality. The Prime Minister Gilkine made a clear appeal to Europe in Ljubljana on 23 September. Europe must take strong action to actively combat the unfair competition between rail and more polluting modes of transport, such as air travel, what already have said by Minister Henry and Minister Bort. It is unacceptable in the age of the Green Deal and the 55 for the airline industry to continue enjoying the benefit when the solution of the future are confronted with various obstacles. The European Union must actively support the development of trains, international trains and night trains to achieve the 55% reduction in GHG emission by 2030. The European Union needs to have a rethink. It is crucial to revise the current rules to allow member states to fund new initiatives, especially during the startup periods. It is need a better coordination in allocation of train paths and initiative for the Union to reducing train paths charges. It is essential also to promote equal access to the rolling stock. The European Union must act. It cannot sit back and watch this renaissance of international train fall in this first hurdle. If the needs of the sector are not met, if as a result the expectation of the people of Europe to travel in a more sustainable and efficient way throughout the continent and undermine, it is understandable that member states are taking initiative to rebalance this solution. And it is the case in the Netherlands' preference for the operator OBB for the Vienna-Amsterdam routes. So I would like to just conclude with the important to work all together to help this good initiative about the coming back of night trains through Europe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Valkiers. And after this political input, I would say we would like to give the floor to a representative of the networks, Professor Peter Balázs, coordinator of the North Sea Mediterranean Corridor.
Thank you. Monsieur le Président, Deputy Prime Minister, Madam Ambassador, what a better opportunity than today to talk about the EuroCap-rail project when the Connecting Europe Express runs on its lines and we are sitting in one of its coaches. It reminds me the old times when I joined the team of European coordinators back in 2005, and this project was already on the list of priorities, the original 30 TEN-T priority projects defined in 2004. And then from 2013, when the new TEN-T guidelines were published, Brussels, Luxembourg, Strasbourg was integral part, and it is until today, of the North Sea Mediterranean corridor, of which I am in charge, and it is a strong priority on my work plan. In practice, it means a constant support by the Commission, both from a political and a financial point of view. Since 2006, the EU co-financed studies and the works in Belgium and Luxembourg up to 132 million euros for a total investment of close to 750 million euro. Moreover, on the Belgian side, about 70 million from the Recovery and Resilience Facility will go to this project. Works have started more than 15 years ago, and now we all wish to see the end. First and foremost, the citizens and the civil society, who are very active. Reducing the travel time, which was mentioned, between Brussels and Luxembourg from 2 hours 40 minutes to 2 hours et des poussières. 2 hours 3 is in the plan, would be a great achievement. In July, I organized a working group, and we have clarified the real perspectives of terminating this project, and all the participants engaged themselves for the horizon of 2026 to 28, which is not far away. The Commission is standing behind you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Balázs. Next speaker, Mr. Henrik Hololei, Director General for Mobility and Transport of the European Commission. I think the link was left by Professor Balázs for you to continue.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And Deputy Prime Minister, ministers, dignitaries, friends, it's great that we have this opportunity to have this discussion among ourselves, and of course also for the wider audience, because I think the topics are extremely important, and this is also something that the European Year of Rail is about, and the Connecting Europe Express is about. But first and foremost, thank you for hosting us in Namur. It's one of the most beautiful cities, if not the most beautiful city in Belgium, and I think that the only thing I'm very sorry about is that we are confined here in the railway station and do not have the possibility to go around and discover the castle and of course many other wonderful places here. But it has been the rail which has brought us here, and of course I'm very grateful for the kind words as well towards the Connecting Europe Express, because this has been a big venture. I think it has also shown what is possible. Nothing like that has ever before been rolled out in Europe. There has never been a train which has been going 36 days to 100 different stops and 30 countries. So yeah, it is possible. But of course, like Minister Bausch earlier said very rightly when we were changing the pennants, that this journey has also showed us many deficiencies, has also showed us where we can and should do better. And of course, I think there are many things to think about, to go back to the drawing board, but also to continue to discuss with different players in the rail system. I think that the other good opportunity, in addition to boosting the rail and also showing what is possible with this train, has been that this journey has allowed us to also to promote and to discuss in different regions the update of the trans-European transport networks. And we are currently updating the regulation and also seeing what kind of additional elements need to be added, so that the corridors would really change into contemporary transport and mobility corridors, which are not only just corridors, but which are sustainable and smart corridors, where we add the elements of digitalization and also make sure that these corridors provide as much as possible sustainable solutions, including charging, refueling, and so on. And I think this is very important, because there is also very clearly the overlap with what we do in order to promote rail, in particular when we talk about rail freight, because we also want to link the trans-European transport networks with the rail freight corridors, and I think this is the right way forward. We need to build more on the synergies, and we also need to make sure that the system that we have, that the infrastructure we have, is better serving the need for the change, and in particular when we talk about the cutting of the emissions in the transport sector, because that is the sector which has to do real heavy lifting between now and 2050, about 90% cut. And of course, like already has been pointed out, and rightly so by the previous speakers, the rail solutions, of course, have a very high potential, and not only high potential, but also it's a must in order to accelerate this transition and also our path towards more sustainable transport system. But I also don't want this to be just words, and I don't want that 5 years from now we will be talking, because it's not the first time we talk about it. 5 years before now, we also talked about it, but to be honest, we haven't moved that much forward. And I've said it many times also, in a number of occasions also during this trail journey. If we continue to do things in the old ways, we are not going to get anywhere. And we really need to step up the efforts. We really need to make a change. And you know, there was a reference before also towards the aviation industry. And 30 years ago, the aviation industry was something which was only for the I would say above average wealthy people. It was the ticket prices were very high. There were very few connections. And now it's very different, and I understand also the calls which said that you know, this is definitely having a bigger impact on the environment, and we need to change to the rail. But we are not going to do that only by saying so. This sector also needs to learn why the aviation sector becomes so competitive, because we opened up the market. We created a genuine single European rail aviation area. And we have been talking about creating the genuine single European rail area, but we haven't been able to move from the talks to the reality, at least not with the speed that we would all like to see. Implementation of the fourth railway package. This needs to be fully implemented. Market opening and interoperability are the key, because only then we would be able to move towards a well-functioning, affordable, and also efficient and reliable rail system. And the other thing is that in the aviation you had a lot of newcomers who came to the market and who made it possible in the rail industry, the way how the incumbents are defending the market and do not allow the new market entrants to join the market and to start competing with them and putting up all kinds of barriers which are not substantiated. This is not helping. We need to change that attitude. Competition is good. Rail is not only for the few selected. It should be for everyone who is able to come to the market and compete. And only then we would also move towards a genuine European rail area and will make a big difference. I truly believe that. I truly believe that if we are not going to achieve it, if we are not going to find a way also how there will be more competition, how there will be new entrants in the market and providing people many kinds of rail services, how we would be able to come over the limitations that there are when it comes to cross-border, it becomes very difficult. And we all know what also the deficiencies are about ticketing, about sort of access and so on. So these are the things I think that is important for us to take with us and to think and to improve, but most importantly, work together, because we are all in it together. There are not they and we and somebody third. No, I think we all want to have the same things. And the Commission is going to put also a number of elements on the table. I mentioned about the 10T, revision of the 10T guidelines, the integration of the 10T and the rail freight corridors. Also, towards the end of next year, we will address international train operations from the perspective of capacity planning and traffic management. And of course, also some obstacles that we know, as I said, easy ticketing, rolling stock availability, track access charges, and suboptimal cross-border path. They are just a few to be named and which need to be addressed. And we need to address that together. And still this year, we intend to present an action plan to boost long-distance and cross-border rail passenger services, exactly what was talked about, also about the possibility of the night trains. We also need to clarify elements in the PSOs. So there are a lot of things to do. I don't want to have the long list here. What I'm just saying is that we need to change thinking. There is a huge opportunity for rail. There is a huge positive predisposition towards the rail. But in order to make things happen, I think we also need to start delivering in all fronts, and let's do it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I see that people on the tracks here are getting nervous. So, but we would like to have the input of Mrs. Ambassador Tamara Weingerl-Požar, Deputy Permanent Representative of the Permanent Representation of Slovenia to the EU. We would like to hear your input, and if they are a bit nervous, we will get 5 minutes or something more.
Thank you very much. I'm a very quick speaker, so I'll try to speed up. As the European rails need to speed up, so I'll try to speed up. So thank you very much. Really a great honor to be here with you on this train. Me and my team are on the way to Luxembourg for the Environment Council. And with this concrete example of being on this train, we want to show our support to green transition and sustainable modes of transport as the rail is. So very pleased to be here with you, Deputy Prime Minister, ministers, and all distinguished colleagues also from the Commission, dear Henrik. Just to say that Slovenia has supported the Year of Rail since the beginning when Belgium also proposed it, and we really thank Belgium for this great idea. And also thank the Commission and everybody involved in supporting and bringing to life the idea of the Connecting Europe Express, which is really, we believe, a truly and unique European project. As far as our presidency is concerned, we have put great emphasis to the green transition, European Green Deal, and of course negotiations on the Fit for 55 package, as many of you have stressed. Sustainability of transport is great on top of our priorities. Currently, we want to ensure the coherence of the package still, and because the impact of the package needs to be measured as a whole, the impact on economy and society. But we have also a lot of priorities, in particular on transport, on the alternative infrastructure regulation, on refuel, different types of refuel acts, and so on. Just to say that we are fully aware that rail, together with the modal shift, which has already been mentioned, is one of key solutions towards decarbonizing transport, and therefore we also support greatly the EuroCap-rail project. You have mentioned it yourself, and me as someone working in Brussels and living in Brussels for a long time, we really believe this project should indeed be one of the highest priority in the context of connecting the 3 European capitals, so full support to it. And just to say at the end that we are also strong supporters of linking the capitals of Europe by effective and affordable train connections. Night trains also play a major role in this. They have been mentioned before, and we believe they could really prove to be a great contribution in lowering emissions compared to the issue of airlines, which also has been mentioned by Henrik. We are aware that the path towards this will not be easy. It will be difficult, perhaps costly, but we need to remain positive that we are moving in the right direction. So thank you again for allowing me to be in your company. It's a great project, and good luck with the rest of your journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Ambassador. Finally, it's been an honor and a privilege for me to host you through these 2 days. I wish a safe voyage, I would say, for the last 2 days, 3 days, for the Connecting Europe Express, Luxembourg, and later this week, Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, to Paris. Networking you can do on the track or in the train for those who stay here. Enjoy your breakfast. And maybe a last thing to say is that remember that wearing of the mask on the train station is still mandatory in Belgium. So if you would please think about that. Thank you very much, and see you next time.